So today I am planning on getting rid of unnecessary comments and then tidying up the order of some logic, perhaps. Um, just overall make it, more readable. This was incorrect. That should be an empty table. This can go. Just tidying up. Oh, just tidying up some stuff. And then I plan on hopefully getting our aerial DX change functionality working. Which we'll have to do a little bit of testing to figure out what we need. That's right here. We'll be doing that, so it'll be in the not grounded logic. Like right here. So this is if grounded, do all this stuff. So we need to do right here, this if not grounded. So this is, this is what we gotta do. Okay. And then this can go. I'm pretty sure this can go. Yeah, this was my failed implementation of the multi-input stuff. Yeah, all this can go. Okay. Yeah, we don't have speed tiers anymore. Okay, so it looks like we need to delete the end of this first. And we still got to fix the footstep sounds only on frames 2 and 4. So like, or maybe it's, yeah, that sounds right. So we'll have to do that at some point. And then we have to also fix the animation speed. Because when it's at top speed, it's just moving too fast. Okay. So that's looking cleaned up. I'm gonna see if anything in our main needs to get booted. That's looking pretty good. And our ostrich is looking pretty good. Okay. Oops. Okay. Oops. Okay. Let's just make sure we didn't break anything. Oopsie. Yeah, let's make sure we didn't break anything just yet. State 68. This is why we had something populated in the last input table, but I'm confused why it's given us an error. Because if we put something in there, okay, I can't show you what I was thinking, but I've seen it where the debugging here prints nil, so I don't get why this being nil would have anything to do with it. But that's okay. I guess I can default it to last input locked is right for whatever reason. Okay. And I feel like, see, I feel like, so if I'm going slow, I'll just stop. But if I'm going a little faster, see how I'll skid right away? I think we need to turn that up a bit. So like the skid threshold should be a little higher, I think, because I shouldn't be skidding when I'm going that slow, in my opinion. Okay. So if those are our functions, this is our multiple input, multiple direction input. Handling. And I guess this should actually just go closer to our other input handling. Right here. Yeah, I feel like that should go over here. Okay, so we got, where is our skid? Our skid is if we're going to be faster. Here we go. So also I'm noticing it's a little tiny error, but it does matter. Let's say our dx is exactly 0.4. I'm not sure what will happen if there's an input press and our dx is exactly 4. I don't think anything will happen because this logic is saying if we're going, you know, less than the speed 1 threshold, but not equal to, and then if we're going greater than the speed threshold, what I'm going to do is change this threshold to 0.6 to give us a little less skid time. Yeah, a little more walk time before we start skidding. Then I'm going to say if it's equal to or greater than 0.6, then skid will be true instead of just greater than, because if it's exactly 0.6, which is pretty rare, but technically possible. We don't want an error. So I'm just going to put the 0.6 in there, and I really should just put that value as skid threshold. Just so that we can play with it if it's not quite right. So, and then all we have to do when we want to change and tweak that value is change it in our constants file instead of copying and pasting it, overriding it on those 4 different locations. But I also think that 0.4 is used for something else. Like, I don't know what. Like another time where I'm kind of doing right here. Okay, well, so since this is gonna be outdated, we're not going to be doing this logic anymore. Once I fix it. This was saying, hey, there's 3 different speed tiers, depending on what speed tier you're in. Not really speed tier anymore, but it's the values that speed tier used to be. I'm saying play the faster and faster sounds and stop the previous sounds. But we're instead going to be doing on every frame 2 play 1 step, and every frame 4 play another step. So that'll just get scaled with DX as it gets sped up. So we won't need to do a lot of that. This still doesn't sit right with me where I'm doing that +6 for the plus, like 5 + 5, 6 + 6, 4 + 4. It's because of the pixel offset, because I was getting those errors where it was drawing up the pixel when I drew the sprites directly next to one another. When it was cycling really fast, the viewport would just show some pixels when it shouldn't have been. So I just added an extra pixel, and then I had to offset the viewport by the amount of frames it's on. But yeah, I want to see if the 60 FPS is looking okay. Okay, yeah, we maybe want to add 1 more line above that, but that's okay. Or maybe make FPS a little bit smaller. I want to see if the I feel like, oh, that was, see how it's 0.6, DX is 0.66, but when I stop, I don't skid. Or maybe I did skid. It was just too fast. Oh yeah. I feel like it should be 0.7 or something. Or a little higher than 0.7. Well, let's see in the original. Let's see what's the about what speed. Oh yeah, we skid fairly fast, or fairly soon. So maybe the 0.6 is fine. Yeah, we kind of skid right away. And you know what? It's the turn timer logic that I got going on feels faster in this one. So I should probably speed it up. Remember, we had it at 1/5 of a second. Last episode I was calling it 1/5 of a frame, but it's 1/5 of a second. But it feels faster than that. Even like I changed it to 1/10 of a second, and it still feels it feels like it should be a little faster. The other thing I wanted to test was if we're in the air, moving at a decent speed, and we face the opposite direction, if we basically want to figure out how dx is getting changed. Is it changed only when flapping, or yeah, I think it's only when flapping. So it's like, oh, it's hard to demonstrate. Oh, did you see that? That was, huh. I just realized when you bounce off stuff, it doesn't flip you around, it just flips your dx. I don't know. I have a feeling that I flipped us around. But it doesn't flip us around, it just flips dx. See that? Okay, so to swap directions, you hold, gosh dang, it's so hard to swap dx when we're in the air, you have to hold the input and flap. Yeah, and then it'll slowly, and then it'll slowly change. Okay. That's what I had thought. Oops. So I feel like the 0.6 is fine for the skid. Let me double check, because actually it might be. I think 0.6 is probably fine. But we should change our input lag constant to be even faster, which should make it harder to just stop and to just stop and turn. But that's how the original is. And it will make the transitions faster. Okay. I'm feeling like that's actually pretty close, because I can do it most of the time, but not all the time. And that'll make the transitions here faster. So I guess one other question is the skid slow enough? So if we're at top speed, then we skid. Is that about how fast, or about how long it takes for the original to skid to a stop? Uh-oh. Here we go. Oops. It's like a, yeah, I don't know. Feels pretty close to me. Maybe just a little bit longer. Well, no, I think that's fine. That's feeling okay. And then, for the sake of consistency with the game, I'm going to also change our jump. Right now we have jump being both up on the D-pad and space, but in at least this simulator, it's just A to jump and left and right to turn and whatnot. So instead of space or up, let me see, there should be, there should be one other time. Oh, no, yeah, it's in this logic. Okay. So we just need to say A is pressed. And then we need to find the other space. And we need to say I don't know why that was in a parentheses, but there we go. Okay. So now A is our jump, like the original. Okay. See, so here, I'm going to the right, but I'm flapping, and I'm holding left. So I should change my DX here. And then we'll worry about bottom collision coming up. So let's do our, I feel like our, oh, here. We gotta not do this. We don't need to flip. We don't want to flip direction. We just want to swap our DX. So, yeah. See, look at that. Stopped footsteps. So for whatever reason, on landing, footsteps aren't working. I'm kind of curious if our grounding logic right here. Yeah, we have I guess this wouldn't really be doing it because I wasn't holding down an input when it was stopping. Is that right? Oopsie. Yeah, no input is held, but we're stopping the input. Well, it's not that it's not that we're stopping the sound, it's that we're not starting the sound upon landing. So if grounded is true, we need to set, set whatever sound. I'm tempted to see, I guess I don't know why it wouldn't be working. Because by the time we land, we should be grounded and not skidding, so it should play whatever appropriate speed audio. But we're gonna have to rehaul the sound, the footstep sounds anyway. So I'll just worry about that when I'm doing that. Maybe I'll make myself a little note there. Okay, then let's do our flappy change in direction, yeah, right here. So if we're in the air, then we're gonna say we've got to check which direction we're facing. So because no, we don't. we don't have to check what direction we're facing. We just have to check what input we're holding, because the input will determine the direction we're facing right here. So we'll just say, if left is pressed, not pressed, is down. If left is down and jump is pressed, then we're gonna take our dx and we're going to subtract a flap amount from it, like I don't know why flap amount is the thing that I came up with, but that's what we got. So I feel like this should be a very small number, because it's going to be every time we press. And the thing is, we also want to lock it, because we don't want our, let me see where our clamping dx logic is, which is, looks like it's right here. No. It's under the inputs. Right here. So we want to clamp it, you know, if left is down. If left is down, we want to clamp it. See, we don't want to clamp it to the -15. That was just, that was so that we can't walk slower than a certain amount. Shoot. How do we, okay, so here's the deal. Right here, if we press left for example, for just one frame, which is really tough to do, but if we just press it for one frame, we don't necessarily want dx to get dx minus speed ramp, because speed ramp is 0.03, and that's really slow. That means since the animation is toggled to its dx, the animation cycle's super slow at 0.03. So right here I was saying clamp it so that it's -15 at the lowest, and then modify its dx from there. But when we're in the air, we can flap until we're just about to be stopped, but not. Like, so we can move really slow. And I guess my question is, in the original, if you tap it for one frame, how fast is it? And is it the same minimum speed as if you're in the air going a direction, hold the opposite direction and tap it until you're just about moving 0 on the x-axis? And then when you land, is that speed that you're going to be set to slower than that minimum speed? Which I have it at 0.15, but you know, it's different in the game here. So I want to see how the slowest I can go is. So look, that's the slowest I can go. And then my question is, because you're in the air and you can change directions, there's a point at which your dx goes from a positive number all the way to 0, then all the way to a negative number, because it has to shift directions. So, oh gosh, it's so hard to test. Yeah, it's hard to test. Do you guys get what I'm saying there, though? Because it's like, gosh, it's so hard to test. Look at that. Yeah, isn't that slower? Wasn't that slower than when I tried to do... Yeah, when I tried to just do one frame? Because if I was in the air... So what do I do? Because when we're in the air, we can't clamp it to this minimum 15. But right now it's set to 0.1. So for example, if I press it for only one frame, I'll get a dx of 0.15. Then if I'm in the air and I hold the opposite direction and press once, then our dx would be 0.05. And then when we land, we'll keep our dx, but that means we're at a 0.05 instead of a 0.15, which is supposed to be our minimum walking speed. And maybe I can do some shenanigans about when I do, upon detecting when I'm grounded. If I'm in the air and I'm grounded and my dx is smaller than a 0.15, set it to that 0.15. So that's a way I can get around it. But so I guess for now, let's just try to get here. Oops. Where are we going? It's in the aerial handling. Right here. Okay, so if left is down, so we're in the air, left is down, and we're pressing A, we're going to change dx to the flap amount, but we're not trying to change it every time. We're trying to clamp that distance so that it's not greater than its max speed. So if we're moving to the left, then we would want math.max to return the higher of two numbers, one of which is our updated dx and the other is our negative max speed. Is that right? Then if right is down, and then I'm just getting like flashbacks to the multi-input logic. So part of me thinks we need to also say and last input at index 1 is equal to left, so that we're not if we have more than one direction held when we're in the air, it's not getting contradicting inputs, contradicting logic, because both inputs were down. So we're just checking to see what the last input was. And then this is going to be math.min, and it's going to get a positive adding of a flap amount, and it's going to be the clamped to the max speed. So right now, if this works as expected, will be every time we flap, we'll get a 0.1 speed reduction or speed boost. 6. So let's see that. Okay, so we're jumping. So I'm going to hold left and flap. Look at that. And then look. Look how slow that animation is. And look at my DX is 0.08. So that's exactly the problem I was talking about. But look at that. If I'm flapping, then I can modify my DX depending on how fast I flap up until that max speed of 2.35. Then if I want to change directions, I hold the other direction, spam flap, and it'll slow its direction to the other. So yeah. And then, you know, see how it's minus 0.10 each time. So they're at 0.05. So we'll need to do when we refactor our platform collision logic, because we need to. Right now, its Y is clamped to the ground floor, but we also need it to be able to walk on a platform. And right now it's hard-coded to that, hey, this is the ground right here. But we need to say if the thing below you is a collidable platform, then you can walk on it. And then we will need to say if you're colliding with a collidable platform, negate gravity, and then also if your DX happens to be slower than the minimum speed, just set it to the minimum speed so that we don't get that 0.05 speed. But that's that functionality, you know. So like you can have a very tiny yeah, you can have a very tiny DX. And I feel like that minimum speed, that 0.15, should be a little bit faster on the animation, but we can worry about that later. Should be a tiny bit faster. But you can start walking slow and then fly, and then you can continue flapping with right held, and you should speed up, which is, you know, by 0.1 every time you press it. Then you could change your directions, and then you bounce when you hit a collidable, but you don't turn anymore. You just bounce. Yep. Uh-oh. I just noticed a little error. So I've got right held. I'm gonna bounce and I keep right held. Oh, it worked that time. I don't know. I don't know why that messed up. But I was holding right and he wasn't going right. I was only holding right and he wasn't going right after he landed. Like he didn't skid after he bounced. And right was held. And he was going left. But cool. So we've got that direction change implemented now. So yeah, the next big things are we just did this. Yeah. I'm gonna pair up this with this because they're both sound things. And then, I mean, that's a sound thing too. So yeah, so the next big things, we need to fix the animation ramp because its max speed is way too fast. We need to fix its minimum animation speed as well. We need to do the footsteps only upon the frame logic, not upon the speed tier logic. We do need to add this side collide sound sometime. Let me see if I do have it. I do have the collide sound into our music table or sound table, whatever you want to call it. So if we see our collision logic, not our functions, but when we do the logic with it, where is it? Collide, 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 right here. Yeah, so instead of flipping, we should just, if it's a right or left collide, then we need to sounds collide colon play. Is that right? This is a sounds with an S. So let's see if our collide sound is now playing upon collision, on left and right collision. Nice. Okay. Part of me thinks it needs to be just a little quieter. There goes our footsteps not working again. That sounds fine to me. Okay, yeah, I don't know why the footsteps stop. That's so cool. Okay. I'm just gonna give us one extra line here at the top so our FPS doesn't get cut off. Okay. Okay, well, so I think I'm gonna wrap up today. In next episode, we're gonna do let's tackle, because it's like before I do the grounded collision or the bottom collision for the platforms and everything, because that's going to be a fairly significant refactor, just because I feel like it's going to be. Because my idea here is to make a check grounded function, and then I need to apply gravity on every frame, check for collision, and then set Y position appropriately, which right now I'm not applying gravity every frame. I'm only applying gravity when I'm in the air. And I'm saying, hey, if your Y is at ground level, stop applying gravity and just go left and right. But in reality, we need to be able to check, or we don't need to apply gravity on every frame, but we need to check if the ostrich would be falling, and if it would be falling, meaning our check grounded function says, hey, there's not ground beneath you, then apply gravity until you collide, your bottom collides with a platform collidable. At which point we would set your Y position to be on top of the ground, turn off gravity, and just do left and right. But keep checking every frame to see if your position is grounded or not, whether or not we're going to add gravity every frame. So so instead of applying gravity every frame, we're only applying gravity if there's no ground beneath. So yeah, next episode we're gonna fix that animation ramp, and then probably do those footstep sounds, just because once we get all those kinks worked out, then we can test the grounded collision with all the correct sounds and everything, because I think it's going to be trickier to implement the check grounded function than it is to add the footsteps and to fix the animation ramp. So that's what we got to look forward to. But we got one functionality. We cleaned up our code a bit, and then we added one functionality, so we can git commit with a message saying added velocity change while in air. That's about it. Look at that, 239 deletions, 51 insertions. Look at that, 239 deletions. Yeah, we cleaned up 239 lines of useless comments. And then we're going to git push to our repository on our main branch. Okay, cool. I will see you guys tomorrow for the next episode. Peace.